I've got a confession to make.
I need to get this off my chest. As a business owner, we all make mistakes.
I've got to confess.
Hey guys, it's Charlie from Confessions of a Business Owner, and today I'm reunited with my fellow co-host Kim Barrett. How you doing, Kim?
I'm doing super well, Sir C. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. It feels nice to have you back. I've been doing a few guest episodes lately, and it's just not the same. Don't get me wrong. I like the guests, but I feel like we have a special connection and bond.
We do. We're the confession bros. No one, no one else matches up.
I have to agree. I really, really do. Nonetheless, you're back from your trip in Canada. How does that go?
It was awesome. I think we recorded an episode when I was there, right? It was probably very terrible audio and video, but we did do one. But it was great fun. I'm from Perth. We don't get snow. So my favorite thing was just literally making snowballs and throwing them at trees, signs, people when they weren't looking. It was the most the most fun I had on the whole trip was making snowballs.
Such an experience. I've done it a few times in my life, although I'll admit I'd much rather go to Perth. I'm a bit more of a sun guy.
Well, I'm in a t-shirt. You're in a nice padded jacket over there. So obviously it's a bit different weather.
Yeah, Melbourne gets a little bit chilly this time of year, but nonetheless, I love this city very much and something I'm enjoying.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, soon I'm hoping you'll come visit us in the nice warmth. So should be good fun.
Well, I am actually planning on making a trip to Perth or in the next month or two because I would like to run a association meetup for our community. So we have a community for the listeners of this show, and if you are lucky enough to make it to our association meetups, we quite enjoy it. So Perth will be the next one we do, and I've actually got one in Melbourne tomorrow night. But by the time this goes to air, it will have already passed, and I'll be saying how well it went.
Can't wait.
Now, we've got a really interesting topic today. This is one I won't say I'm like super fanboy passionate about, but this is certainly in my wheelhouse. This is something I like sharing and talking a lot about, which is dashboards. I think it's a really interesting thing with all the tech that has come into this world, how easy it's become for every business owner to have a dashboard, but yet so few do. So how do you feel about the topic of the day?
I'm good. It's kind of a sore point for me because we were just chatting before off air about how I've just kind of created mine and the fun. It's funny because ages ago I created them. I think you told me about them then as well. I was using a program called Cypher and I did all these things and I made them, but it would just never work properly. And because it didn't work properly and didn't sync and stuff like that, I just kind of chucked it in the bin. And that's probably I can't remember when you told me about them, probably 18 months ago. So I'm kind of Kim, Charlie is always right. Why do you not just listen to him and use the dashboard? You could have been in such a better spot 18 months later instead of starting again from scratch literally yesterday. So I'm channeling Charlie, wearing my black tee, building dashboards, probably go ride my bike later. It's, just modeling six.
That sounds like a great day. Black t-shirt, bike riding and dashboards. It's very me. Now, I don't often, I'm wrong I'm wrong on as many things as I am right. But on this one, I feel like I have a good chance of being right. And kind of the belief I have is I really do feel that every business owner should have a dashboard these days. I just think they're so important and the technology is amazing. So why did you go so long with that one from there? Was there no appeal to come back or just got caught up in other things?
I think I actually reactivated my Cypher account 6 times. And every time I go on, it's you have lost your access. Please resubscribe. And I use it. And then again, I hit the same wall. And it's, I think, because, and I'm sure you'll cover it, but there's so many resources for creating dashboards. And originally I was doing them for client accounts so I could see what was going on. But then I was using them for my business metrics. And because it wouldn't work and things wouldn't integrate, I kind of just was like a baby, just spat the dummy and said, well, every time, and then I'd be I need it again and do it, and it wouldn't work. Because I think it's finding the right tool for you and how you want to perceive the data, what you want to be shown and things like that. If you don't know what's possible, it's very easy if you go, oh, well, it doesn't show what I want. For example, a number, we'll talk about it later, but a number I wanted was cost per sale and also our recurring revenue. And it's but how do I like, how do I show this number and think about it? And yeah, I think it's very stressful trying to work out what you need to reflect what you actually want is, and knowing what can do that is sometimes, I think, a bit stressful as a business owner.
Absolutely. And I don't want to glorify it and say this is an easy space. There certainly are some challenges out there. And I still believe there is no perfect tool for dashboards. They're getting a lot better than they used to be. Like, I see where they are now and go, yeah, look, we're definitely getting there. But there's some few things. And one day I plan on actually releasing my own. I will build my own dashboard tool because there's a few things I want. But where I wanted to start today is kind of in, I guess, an analogy on why I think dashboards are so important. Because it's all good to, talk about these things, but like really like putting it into context for especially people that don't have them. And the way I really like to think about it is it's kind of like something we can all relate to is driving a car. Now, subconsciously, we're all actually using dashboards in our car like all the time. Like, we don't actually drive without them. That's just how you drive a car. And can you imagine for a second, like, not having a dashboard and trying to drive a car?
Well, this actually happened to me not long ago in my old car before I ended up selling it and trading up and doing some hacking around getting free cars. But I've done it, and like the whole dashboard lost power. And so you're driving and nothing moves. And it's like, I'm going 0 kilometers an hour. And I was just freaking out. Like, I don't know if that's ever happened to you before. And you ride a bike. So I don't know if your odometer on your speedo has ever stopped working, but
the first thing I'll say is the dashboard for my bike is unreal. The data I collect and use to ride is next level. But I haven't had that happen in a car. But I didn't know that even before coming onto the episode. So I have someone firsthand who's talking about like they have actually driven a car without a dashboard, and it's a scary experience.
Yeah, I literally pulled over straight away. I was like, I'm not driving this again. I'm freaking out.
Well, that's kind of how I feel most businesses operate, or how most business owners are operating. Now, it's a reverse scenario here, is like you had a dashboard, and then in the case of your car, you're used to having a dashboard in your car, and then you didn't have one. And you noticed, oh shit, I really do need a dashboard so I can drive a car safely. But when it comes to business owners, most of us don't have a dashboard, and then it's getting one. So for me, I can never go back. Like, I don't think I could run a business effectively without dashboards. Now, I'll dig into this a little bit more though. So when you think about it, when you have your car, like, what information do you really get from your dashboard? So it's like, how fast you're going.
Yeah, how fast you're going, basically how stressed the engine is by the heat mechanism, and if you need more fuel, kind of like the three things really.
Yeah, and then what about warning lights? So if something's up with the engine,
left the handbrake on, engine malfunctions.
Yeah, so this dashboard, right, it's not that it does anything for the car. It doesn't run any of the parts of the car, but it actually modifies your behavior. It gets you to do things based on what you know. So when you see that gauge and it says low on fuel, you're like, I'm going to go to the service station and I'm going to get some more fuel.
Well, it's warnings, right? It's early indicators that you need to take some action.
Absolutely. That's the whole game. So when we look at like why dashboards are important, and I think that analogy is just like a really good starting point. We're going, okay, now I start to get why this is important. You can kind of look at this in business terms. So you could go, well, your fuel is your cash. And like when you're low on cash, you need to do something about that. And your speed might be your monthly revenue. It's like how much is coming in or not coming into the business. So you can start to see there's different indicators you could pull depending on the circumstances. And it's a very, very useful thing if you're going to be running a business, so that, let's say, you make sure you make good decisions about getting fuel before you run out. And I really do believe in a lot of cases, like financial means is the number one reason why a business goes under. Like businesses run out of money. But I would love it if someone did an investigation on like how well informed the business owners were that when they were going to run out of money, or if they knew, or did they just like blindly run it? And that's really, really common.
Well, I think especially when you get busier and you're growing, let's just say you're like a lot of people, small business, always focusing on maybe growing, improving, taking things to another level. And I'm looking back at when I like used and stopped using, it's like I look at my monthly like P&L and balance sheet and stuff like that, which is cool. I sit down with my my accountant every month and do that. But if things are going good, I'm like, oh, I could create a dashboard, but no, it's not like a high priority, and I'm busy doing other things and making sales and managing the team. And then you go, well, it's very easy for your finger to slip off the pulse and looking at different things and different core areas what you should, because things are growing, things are going okay, cash flow looks good, P&L looks good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, if you have a focused area on your business, like how well do you actually understand and know the numbers specifically? And this is just talking to someone who's going through dashboards in the last 2 days going, I didn't properly have that metric understood. If I had been looking at that every week for the last 18 months, I probably would have made some different decisions on things. I would have allocated money and people in different areas and things like that. So that's kind of the big things that I see, especially when I went away from it. It's like, well, things are going all right. Things are going good. So it's not urgent, right? Same as on your dashboard, it's like, oh, I haven't noticed the heat temperature going up in my car. But then when the gasket blows and there's a big red light and water pissing out of it, then you're like, oh, I should probably fix something now.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. I mean, there's so many good points in there, but something I keep going back to, I kind of feel our feelings lie to us a lot in business. So you're perceiving things are going well, but without dashboards, there's nothing proving that. Or maybe your P&L is, or something, I should say. But I wonder if this is true for you. It's definitely true for me, but there's times in business when I've thought things are going well, and then under examination, I was like, that wasn't as well as I thought it was. Or on reverse, I've gone, oh my God, this is going to be the worst month ever. And then after seeing my P&L, I've gone, we did all right. It wasn't actually as bad. So I think there's a connection that we're terrible at gauging our own things, especially as the companies get bigger. Maybe as a one-man band, you might be able to do this better, but especially when you've got team or a bigger team or more things going on, it's the idea of thinking you can know that stuff is just false. Inevitably, if you've got a squeaky wheel in your business, you've got something that's just hassling, that's what gets your attention. You're not paying attention to all these other things.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, as you say, it's so easy. And like I mentioned, it's there's certain indicators that I think you would see definitely 100% on a dashboard if you have it set up properly for the things that you want to measure, things and the areas you want to focus on growing. So if you are distracted by a squeaky wheel, it's, hey, you look at it, bang, you've got the update of where it's at, and then where you should direct focus, or where you can tell others to direct focus, versus going, well, everything's going swimmingly, but there could be a red flag in a certain area that you're not even aware of. Absolutely.
So I wanted to bring up how I use my dashboard. How do I make my dashboard actually useful? Because that's the key. It's one thing to collect data. It's you might have all the things on your dashboard in the world, but if you're not able to read that data and then draw insights for it and turn that into actions in your business, then you might as well not do one. And that's a really important point. But I just want to describe how I make my dashboard actually useful to me. So every Monday morning, what I do, and this is a weekly thing for me, is I log into all my dashboards and I go through them, I assess them. I spend some time actively diagnosing what's going on in these dashboards. And then based on that, I then set up the week's work. So it's only after that I'm well informed from real numbers and data from my business that I will actually set up what the team or myself or anyone should be doing in the business. So a really good example of this, I log into my dashboards and I see that we've got no leads. I mean, it hasn't happened, thank God. That's never happened, but still, it could. And I log into that and I see I've got no leads. So instantly, in knowing this, what do you think I'm going to set the week up to be?
The best lead gen week you've ever had.
Absolutely. I'm going to take actions and do things to generate leads. But without that information, I couldn't do that. On the other side of things, if I see we've got a lot of leads, but we don't have a lot of conversions, I can do the same thing. I can see, well, we're generating a lot of leads, but we're not converting a lot. But without knowing that, I might not think I have enough leads, and I might just try and generate more leads when really we've got a conversion issue.
Yeah.
On the other side of things, it's if I look at my profit and my profit's down, it's I go, okay, well, why is my profit down? I can look into it and maybe my expenses have risen, or maybe there's an increased cost with something we're doing, or maybe we overspent on something from there, but it can explain why. And I can go, well, all right, I can make some adjustments there. So that's the type of like behavior I look to create on the back of having a dashboard, is that it's going to turn into things I can turn into activities in a business to get the areas I want to perform or increase or see growth, to kind of see that through.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's so important. And everything that you're saying there is like, it can drive your focus versus, as you say, like there may be a fire or there may be a squeaky wheel when you get up on Monday morning. However, if you don't have a dashboard, is that actually the most important thing that you should be doing? It's like, oh, cool, there's something going on over here. But it's like, well, actually, we needed leads or sales or delivery or identifying this profit sucker or whatever it might be is actually the solution to the problem, really, then apart from getting whatever the thing that you think is the problem that's making the most noise.
Absolutely. It's an accurate diagnostic. It's like a real thing. So, I mean, the one I see really commonly is business owners always feel like they've got a marketing and sales problem. Like I see that really, really commonly, that a business owner will see they've got a marketing and sales problem. They perceive it, and they're always trying to solve or fix their business by improving their marketing and sales, when in reality, they may have an operational issue they can't see, or they may have an expenses issue they can't see. It's like they're always trying to solve the problems in their business from marketing and sales, but not paying attention to anything else. Maybe their retention's really poor. Maybe their cost of goods is really poor, but there's nothing showing them that that's where they need to look. That's where they need to put the attention.
Definitely. And I think as well, it's like you mentioned those things. I think a lot of time it's easy to not have like a measuring stick for those things, because it's like, how do you know if it's poor or not? As you're saying, if you're not looking at your P&L and things like that, and cool, if you're a service-based business, then well, your wages should be a certain percentage of your revenue, and then your cost of goods should be the same. It's like, if you don't have those things in place, so you look at them and they're like, oh, cool, this number's there, but the profit's good. Like, but is that like a sleeping giant that could break through later when you have other issues in other areas?
Absolutely. And I mean, I feel like I'm preaching to the converted now that you're on to the dashboard side of things. I just agree. And like, obviously I'm very passionate about this, and it's something I've been able to use very successfully to help me grow my company as well. So I want to ask you a question from there, Kim. Like, you're going through this stage at the moment. What are the things you feel are important to track in your business? Like, what are the numbers you're hunting for?
Well, the numbers, and we were kind of talking about this a little bit before. The biggest thing for me is identifying from our ad spend the actual return. And the reason why I say actual return is, so for example, we have clients every month that are on recurring with us. They pay us month on month on month. That's not like really a new sale. So if I'm just looking at the top line of sales and then like recurring clients or sales and ad spend, the numbers don't add up. So I've got to kind of dive deeper into that and pull out and go, well, which are the ones that are completely new, not on recurring? And as well, which are the ones that come from our sales team, not from me, because I always selling in people in my network reach out, and that's not attributed to the ad spend either. So they're the real core numbers at the moment that I haven't focused on previously getting exactly right, because I've gone on the holistic big overview, but I haven't broken down the components of each one, because I want to know the numbers at the moment I'm looking for is our cost per sale from our sales team directly correlating from our revenue, and then as well our recurring clients, because I really want to increase that. So if a salesperson gets sick or goes away on holiday, or there's something else changes in our business, that number is still at a reasonable amount. So I want my focus is growing that and increasing that from the business that's like 16% at the moment. I want that to be closer to 30% in the next month or two, and just kind of increase that up. So ideally, 50% plus is my goal for the next probably quarter or 3-4 months.
I think they're awesome things to be tracking and very, very useful on a dashboard. So the thing I love the most about what you said is like, you've already identified where your data could get dirty. Like you're saying, if we just track overall sales or overall revenue, it's like, and we don't differentiate, what's recurring, what sales were made by me, what sales were made by the team, or what came from ad spend, the data becomes useless. Like, it's very clouded because, well, let's be real, you're a bit of a sales machine, and I'm pretty sure you could cover for the rest of your sales team unknowingly if it kind of happened, but it could. But it's like, if you're specifically tracking, sales coming from our ads that have been closed by the sales team and that are leading to recurring revenue, it's like, if you're actively doing activities to increase all of them working, your business is winning. Like it's a great indicator to come through from there.
Yeah, and even as well, like previously when we're looking at our cost per sale, we hadn't we weren't accurately putting into like our dashboards or reports as well the specific commission for each salesperson as well. Like previously we had some of the numbers like they were and it was just an error in our system when we had an automatic system in Xero where it would allocate the account to go to when it was going to contractors when it should have gone to commissions, like that. So we had to pull that out and go, well, then our cost of sale is actually the cost per lead times the number of leads plus the commission paid to the salesperson divided by the number of sales only from the salespeople. So again, same thing, like all those little things can muddy the number and you look at it and just go, great. Oh, my cost per sale is $100, but actually it's like 1,000.
Ooh, dirty data. I reckon we could do a whole podcast episode on dirty data.
we definitely got to do that.
Yeah, but that's certainly one of the challenges is making sure that the numbers you're getting are clean and actually useful and taking your business to where you want to go. So like the reverse of this is like I've seen dashboards and I reckon you would need a physics degree to be able to get through them. I really do, or a mathematics degree. Like they're tracking everything, but not things that are getting really useful for them. Where I look at, the conversation we've had here and it's like for you, if you just separate that data set for you and you actually use it and look at it every week, don't get me wrong, there's probably a few other things I would add into that, but that's going to be a dashboard that's useful to taking you towards a goal. It really would.
Yeah, and I think that's it. And then it's just it's consistently tracking and measuring that, but then again figuring out, as you said, like what's the goal for you currently. And that's my big goal, is going cool, because it has been in the past that my sales cover and hide things. And spent probably more on ads than I should have, when it should be like, well, it's not a leads problem, because like, oh, look, we're getting a ton of sales and blah blah blah. But it's actually like, well, actually the cost per sale, from the sales team is quite high, and you focus on bringing in either new team members or upskilling current team members to improve that figure, versus just going, oh, top line's awesome, it's rocking.
Absolutely. Now, I want to preface this next bit with saying that a dashboard in itself, right, should be designed so that you can measure outputs that will take you towards a goal or objective in your business. So, if your objective is to work, 10 hours a week, that's your goal, then a really good thing to be tracking is the amount of hours you work per week. If your goal in Kim's case is, measuring his recurring revenue, then that's a really important thing. Now, I preface that, but I did a little bit of thinking time before this episode. I did. And I thought to myself, there's going to be people that come and listen to this episode that don't have a dashboard or have some of these things in place, and they're not really sure where they could go from here. And I was like, well, if I was in their shoes, what would be the things, or where's the starting point for dashboards? Like, what would I put on a ground zero? This is a really good point dashboard. So what I've done is I've come up with a dashboard, or things that you could track on a dashboard. And if you track these consistently and made improvements in all of these areas, that your business would be moving in a positive direction for a number of reasons. Of course, some goals will be different, not one size fits all, but this is a very good start. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of go through, like if you're building your first dashboard or you're just getting into this stuff, like what's a really good overview dashboard you can make useful. All right, are you ready, Kim?
I'm ready.
Okay, so the first one is that I think a great thing to start tracking is what I call traffic or interactions. Okay, so for traffic, if you are an online business, it's the amount of people that are visiting your website. If you're an offline business, it's the amount of interactions you're having with people to learn about your business. I'll use an example. I'm an e-commerce store. It's the amount of people that are coming to my online store. I'm a bricklayer. It's the amount of people I'm talking to or having exposure to that I can tell I'm a bricklayer and they know I'm a bricklayer. You might do that through, local paper advertising or a whole bunch of different things. But this is your, top layer, get it out there. The second thing I track is leads. Okay. So that next layer down is leads. And I'll use leads can be a few different things depending on what you're in. And this is where you need to look at it. So if you're in a services businesses, maybe that's an inquiry on your website. If you're in an e-commerce business, maybe that's someone putting something in the shopping cart. If you're a bricklayer, this might be sending out a quote. Is you're measuring, I've had a lead and I've sent a quote out. Okay, so that's our next layer. The one down from that is conversions. So this is the point for me. When I talk about conversions, again, there's a variety of ways to do it, but the way I really like to think about it is money. This is a conversion point of a financial transaction. Because I know if I'm, tracking this in a business is a really powerful one from there. The next layer down from that is retention and repeat buy. So how many times do people buy from me? Or if this is a recurring service of some stage, like how long are they staying with me? Again, an example of that is, if you are a cycling shop, and I know because I've just been to one, they'll see astronomical numbers on how many times I buy. But it's like for them to see multiple purchases is a really good thing. But if you're in something like our community called the association, where it's a membership, a monthly membership, like we're measuring how long the members stay, and we're using that as an indicator. That's a really good one for a number of reasons, because it's not only showing you like people buying again, but it's also showing a little bit like happiness, like people want to buy from you again, or they're staying with you because you're doing a good job. So it's a really good one. The next one down is revenue. I think revenue is a really good one to track. Under that is net profit. And then under that is hours worked. So I'm going to read them out really quickly one more time here. So it's traffic, leads, conversion, retention, revenue, net profit, and hours worked. Like if you're tracking all those things in your business, that's giving you a few different areas like, in the business. And if you're looking at that weekly and making improvements to all of those numbers on a weekly basis, even if it's a tiny bit, is that you will be seeing a lift of improvement in your business. Like more of the right things should be coming out for you. Now, I will say as well, I will include a download link so you can download a copy of what I think you should be tracking in a dashboard, so that you've got something that you can get from us so you can start implementing this in your own business. But that is my bare minimum. And I might even put up a little picture of what it should look like.
Nice. And I don't know if it's in your link or not, Charlie, but like if someone's looking to create, like obviously they can pull those numbers and put them into a spreadsheet and watch them. If you're looking at some of the online dashboards, like what are the ones that you recommend? Like I mentioned before, I used previously one called Sife, which was a bit of a pain for me, but what's your recommendations? There's
so many good ones. There's none that are perfect, but many will do the job. So if I'll go from this is like, if you're, a lot of this depends on your technical ability. So if you're technically savvy or have people on your team that are very technically savvy, you can go for more extreme approaches. But I would say that a really good starting point, and one I use in many situations, is just a Google sheet or an Excel sheet. Because then you can track these numbers over time. You could do this, as a once a week, you're taking all these numbers and you can look at this data week by week. Great starting point, very effective, little bit painful in getting the information and putting it in. So there's a little bit of manual labor in that option. The second one you can look at from there, and this is the one that I think most commonly, this will serve most people, my favorite at the moment. It may change down the road, so I won't hold it, but personally I like Dasheroo. Dasheroo has been a simple tool you can use to kind of bring in a whole variety of things. So a good example of this is that if you're using Dasheroo, you can get it to pull your website traffic automatically, or you can get it to get Stripe data or Infusionsoft data or ClickFunnels data or a whole bunch of things. And the big win with that one is that you're getting a lot of automation. So a lot of these dashboards will populate in themselves.
Nice. Yeah, that's the one I just started having a bit of a play with, and it seems to be pretty solid so far.
Yeah, and there's a few that get a noble mention here. Like I can still see they're really good tools. Now, Sife can work. It can be a little bit fiddly, but I used to use Sife quite a bit, and I think it's a good tool. Visually, it's not the nicest as some of the other ones, but it's still a decent one from there. Supermetrics is another one that gets a notable mention. I've seen some guys build some great dashboards with that. And then Clipfolio is another one that gets a kind of an honorable mention as well. All of them phenomenally cool tools. But I think for the general, it's like we can get caught up in this stuff a little bit. Like, and it kind of comes back to what I was saying earlier. It's not the tool, it's what you do with the tool. So, the Google Sheets approach or the Dasheroo approach, which are going to be a lot easier. I would rather someone use that or get those and actually do it than try to take after these complicated approaches thinking it provides a better result, because that's just not true.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you get a hammer doesn't mean you're going to build a house, right? You still actually have to build the house. Just because you have it doesn't mean it's going to magically appear.
Yeah, having the tool doesn't guarantee you the result. It's if I go buy a nail gun right now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to build a house either. We've got to build the house.
Yeah, actually going to do the work. So I think that's a good thing. And what about then, obviously it can probably be a whole other episode, but do you look to like industry standards when you're looking at and assessing or your own personal growth areas, or what do you use to judge if, obviously most of those things, but let's just say that they go, oh cool, I'm getting XYZ conversions or XYZ leads. Is that good for it's the age-old question, back in used to have the PPC agency, and obviously I get now, it's like, oh, is this amount per lead good? But on those metrics, do you, if you were talking to someone and consulting with them on that, where would you guide them to make sure that they go, well, if that seems like reasonable?
I'll tell you what, I don't miss that question at all, Kim, and I'm sure you don't miss it either. Is this good for a cost per conversion? I'm like, maybe. Depends on a lot of things. Okay, so this is my so I'm just going to say it flat out on the episode. This is actually why I want to build a tool itself, because there is no great source of industry standard data, and I get that because there's so many factors and businesses run so differently. So it's very, very hard to find a standard to compare yourself to. So I want to look at a few things from there. Now, step one. Okay, if you want to know if a cost per lead is good, I got to look at this in an interesting way. I'll be careful how I say this. But why I hang around with someone like you when I was marketing is so that I had someone to compare to. So I'd go, Kim, I'm getting this done right now. I'm in the industry. How are you doing in this field? And you can kind of share data sets with other business owners. So if you're not involved in a mastermind group, or you're not hanging out with other business owners or doing meetups, or you don't have people in your life that you can have these type of conversations with, and you and me do this all the time. This is part of the game, is well, it's something you really need to look at, because I honestly believe there's a huge level up advantage just being able to kind of compare data sets to other people, and that's a good gauge. Of course, got to be similar businesses, similar countries, and all the rest. So that's number one, is looking for other people that could have similar data or perceived data that you can see is there. But that's not the best one. I'll give you the best one. I want you to think in another context of what we want is an improvement. That's the actual result. It's not if we're doing good or bad. It's we want to improve from where we are. So when I look at where's the best source of data, it's actually your own. It's a comparison to what you've already done. So when we get these data sets, and let's say you build my dashboard and you say, right, I'm going to track this every week in my business. Over time, whatever you're doing now, and then whatever you're doing next week and the week after, you're building out what is the average, and you're building out what's a good result and what's a bad result. And then that's forming the behaviors in your car. So a really good way of doing it is 7,000 revs good or bad? Well, it depends on the car. Is 2,000 good or bad? Well, it depends on the car. I've got 10 litres of fuel left. Is that a good thing? Well, depends where you're going. So you can see that unless you're subjective to your own data, it's kind of not as valuable. So this is what I want in a dashboard tool. And I mean, I'm sure all the big dashboard companies listen to our podcast and can hopefully just build out this feature so I don't have to build it. But what would be really powerful in my point of view is that if I was going to build a dashboard, is I would love the tool itself to indicate if this is good or bad based on my previous data. So if I've just had a week, how does this week compare to my average week? How does this week or month compare to my average month or this month last year? I think there's a lot of room in this space for analyzing our own data in better ways to see if we're headed where we're headed. And what I would really love, if someone could please build this, is if I set a goal of going look, I want to get my business to here, showing me what I need to increase or work on in my dashboard. What are the numbers I need to see to hit that? So if I want $1 million company 12 months from now, what needs to happen here, or what do I need to be working towards in this dashboard I've built to hit that result?
That'd be super cool. Yeah. So all you dashboard companies listening, just build that out for us as soon as you can would be great.
Now, I don't know if you remember this, but I when I'm going to put this as a kid, did you ever play any of the racing car games?
Yep.
Do you ever remember that in some of them is if you did a really good lap on the game, is there would be a ghost car, which was your last lap, and you would have to beat your own car to get the win. And And I looked at it and I was like, it created this level of competitiveness where I was trying to beat my last result. Like I could see that happening. Now they actually have this in some of the stuff I do in cycling. So when I do like indoor training in cycling, if I record a power time for 10 minutes, it will actually tell me if I'm above them or below my personal best. So it gives me something to target.
Oh, wow.
To beat.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Very cool. But imagine having that in business. Imagine going that, this was what you had to do to get your record lap. And it's like you're putting that target for you to chase of going like, this is where we need to be. This is where we need to be. And getting you to focus on, beating your own result rather than, all the distractions that come from business.
I remember I went to, it was at Trafficking and Conversion Summit, I think it was a couple of years ago. And they were, again, doing it manually. But I remember, I think it was Ryan Dicey said like on Monday he would get where they're at currently compared to last week, compared to last month, compared to last year. So we'd have like 4 reports for each company. It'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4 for each one, and kind of show it plotted against each other, so you can kind of see and use that to, as you say, like drive if you need to adjust if things are seasonal, like how all the different things to take into consideration.
Super powerful stuff. And obviously Ryan is a very, very clever business owner. It doesn't surprise me from there. But there's a lot of beauty in what he just said. Is one, it's simple. It's not something that's overwhelming. He hasn't got 4,000 indicators, and he probably could. He's got the tech and ability to do it. Number 2 is it's useful. So simple and then useful. He can make really good decisions based on it. And that's the crux of a good dashboard. And if he gets that by email, that's fine. If he gets it through a dashboarding tool, that's fine. So a dashboard can kind of be in those few ways.
Yeah, 100%.
But I tell you what, Kim, like we've spoken a lot about dashboards here, and we've got, hope we haven't put too many people to sleep. Hopefully my energy has keeping a bit awake from there. But nonetheless, I feel like this has been a pretty insightful one. So what I want to mention is a few things here. Number 1 is if you are listening to this episode and you would like a copy of what I mentioned as a minimum dashboard, I'll make sure they're included as a download link from the show or in the show notes. Like you will be able to get a hold of them, as well as we've referenced it in here, but tools that can help you get started with this stuff. So that'd be a really good starting point for a lot of people. Now, is there anything you wanted to throw in on the end of this episode, Kim, or any thoughts or ideas from it, or any more questions?
I would just say for everyone out there, like I could ask you questions all day on this, Charlie, but for anyone out there, I think it's just that have your MVD, your minimum viable dashboard done up. You can have that, Charlie. That's yours. I'll give you that one.
I was just thinking I was going to steal that.
At least have that where you can measure those things. And like I said, like take it from someone who did it, screwed it up, got rid of it, and then it's gone back to it. Like I wish I had to have it and I had the understanding of what I'm doing with it and why I want it. So I think you definitely, for everyone, just create one, even if it's just those handful of numbers that Charlie mentioned, be more than enough to help you make some decent decisions inside your business.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll go back to it again, is saying that the dashboard I described is a really good starting point. But if there's specific things in your business you're trying to work on, then it only makes sense to, I suppose, customize a dashboard to be suitable to what you're chasing. So for me, the podcast is really important for me. I'm really excited to see our podcast grow. I have a dashboard just for my podcast, and it's, it's its own thing, so I can keep it clean. For you, Kim, you've mentioned sales from your sales team. Like that's a crucial thing. Understand the critical indicators that would make all the difference for you, and then base it off that.
Yeah, that's it. And I think if you do that, then it's, you're streets ahead of pretty much every other business owner, because they don't do it.
They don't. This is your unfair advantage. If you guys want to win, I'm sure, I don't know how you feel about this, Kim, but it's like, as much as I think, leads and sales are definitely a solution to a lot of problems, they can help a business in a lot of ways. Like this is the area where most business owners won't do this stuff. And when you do, this is how you win, because you're so much more in tune to how to play the game than they are.
Yeah, 110%.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And I hope you got a lot of value out of it. We will be back soon with another episode. That's it from us.
Adios.